What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Vertical Football. Welcome back to another episode of 5 Things We Learned. Newcastle United 2, Manchester United 1. Guys, very, very painful end of the game. Really, really painful. I think there are a lot of things we have to discuss in this game, really. A lot of things that we need to work on before our next game. So, guys, let's jump right to it. A lot of talking points. So, first and foremost, I think we started the game slowly again. I think that's quite evident. You know, whenever we play Newcastle, whenever I get to talk about Newcastle, I usually say that there are two ways to try to win Newcastle. The first way is the fact that Newcastle obviously is going to come with intensity. They are going to come with the energy. That team is not a team that they have players that are slow. They have players that are very fast, very intense, players that can run, players that bring all those kind of energy into their game. Right, and the first way to be able to beat them is that you have to match that energy, match that intensity, and then supersede it, which we did not do in the first half. Especially the second thing that you can use to win a Newcastle side is the fact that you have to, if you cannot match the intensity, you have to bring the game to your own level. You have to control the game to your level, which we did not do. And I felt that it was really, really sad and a very, very painful watch for the first half, because they actually dominated and played better than us in a lot of aspects. I think the only thing that I saw in the first half that was for United was the fact that in as much as Newcastle were having the ball and playing, I felt that the better chances, that's my own feeling, that the better chances of that first half came to us. I felt the better chances came to us, even though those chances were not that superb chances, but I felt that it just looked like we could get something in that first half. And yeah, a penalty for Newcastle after the red card. And then we got a goal through Casemiro, which I think was very fantastic. But the second half, I think we thought the second half was going to be a change, because obviously we are playing against them and it went the way it went. But let me quickly say certain things about that first half that I felt that we need to work upon. And the first thing is the fact that Newcastle exploited obviously the left-hand side of our play in terms of the symmetry between Shaw and Matheus Cunha, because you can see the likes of Trippier, the likes of Elanga, were just, I think at a certain point, like close to half of the attacks in the first half were going through that side, and I think they caused a lot of issues. And I know yes that we are missing Patrick Dogu in that side, because he helps us to shut that side up. But the fact is, I think we have to work on that in terms of subsequent games, because it's something that other teams we look at and try to use to exploit. That's the side between Matheus Cunha and Luke Shaw. And I think if that's even led to Luke Shaw getting the yellow card at certain points, that obviously not led to the fact that he has to be removed. So I think that's one part that we have to work upon. The second part that we have to work upon is the fact that our midfield once again was open. Our midfield once again could not match up to the intensity of the Newcastle side. I think the Newcastle midfielders, especially the likes of Joelinton, were playing. They were playing too easy. They were finding it too easy. Joelinton was having the fun of his life. The likes of Tonali was just dictating and being there as a solid figure for Newcastle. And I felt for me it was very, very painful, because it also brings us to the parts of what we've been saying, is that we need a midfield. We need midfielders. Not even a midfielder, we need midfielders. I think if there's any game that reminds you of that stark reality, is this game against Newcastle. We did not have midfield. We couldn't match them in that midfield. We couldn't win certain balls in that midfield. For every time they felt one step ahead of us, especially in the first half in that midfield, we felt as if, at a certain point, we felt as if they were bigger than us, better than us in that midfield. And I think we don't want to have this, really. We don't want to have this. We need to just get midfielders, and not just one. At least we have to get 2 solid midfielders in that team. That team begs for midfielders, and not just midfielders that are skillful on the ball alone. We need midfielders that are intense. And this is what we saw today. Our midfield lacked that intensity. We couldn't match up with what Newcastle was bringing, and I felt that really affected. I felt also that our play, at certain points, there was no coordination. We couldn't impose ourselves, because I felt there were 2 ways we could obviously impose ourselves, at least to do something in that first half. First of all is by on-the-ball activities, in terms of having the ball and passing the ball and try to get some kind of redeem in terms of passing the ball together. We couldn't do that in the first half. Secondly, we tried, let us try and play long to Sesko to bring us into the game. At moments, we could not do that. So I think the first half was really frustrating. And the hope was that when we go into the second half, the fact of that they are one man down, we can impose ourselves better. And then the second half came, and I think it was painful because I think our initial orientation in the second half, I didn't like it. I think the initial orientation was that we wanted to sit deep and eat on the counter. Maybe we expected that Newcastle were going to come out, and we were just like kind of like passive. To even Newcastle, we're not trying to say, okay, let us even come out. We're not trying to even pass to Ramsey at certain points to drag us out. But I think after the substitution of Ugarte into the team, I felt that at that moment coincided with the fact that we now decided to say, okay, let's come out and play. Let's come out and actually have the ball. And I felt that when we now came out to say, okay, let's have the ball, let's try and coordinate attacks, I felt we did not have variety in our attack. And for me, I've not been seeing, I used to think we had variety in our attack beginning of the season. I thought we had some variety in our attacks. But I think recently, in a subsequent game, I've said it many times, our attack is kind of predictable in the sense of we are always using long balls in. Yeah, we had some moments in terms of the likes of Euro had a chance, the likes of Ugarte had a chance, but if those chances were coming from all ball situations, I felt we should have tried different ways. We need to have that variety in our attack, not just Bruno trying to play the long ball into space for somebody to lash onto it. And I felt that we didn't have that variety, and it was very difficult to get that second goal for us. And then shockingly, the worst thing happened in terms of the transition moment for the likes of Newcastle with Osula, and he got his goal. But I think for me, I'm not happy, obviously. You are not happy, obviously. But another point I want to make is the fact that, the substitution of Malacia was a very big shock for me, because I understand the fact that, yes, you need a left-footed left back at that moment to be able to help you in terms of varieties. Maybe a left-footed full back will give you a different thing than what a Mazaraoui will give you in that space. I understand that. But the fact is, Malacia shouldn't be coming back and playing in that Newcastle game. I think Newcastle game is not the kind of game where you just bring any player in without the necessary intensity, without the necessary match reading. In the Premier League against Newcastle, I think that's like the worst situation you give a player, and I think we're really sad. So, guys, these are my opinions. I think a lot of things that I was not pleased with. I'm not happy at all. But I think we take the consolation that you win some, you lose some. But we have to fix it right. Our midfield needs to impose themselves better. Our players need to impose themselves better right from the onset. Let's try and do that. We didn't do that into this game. It was really frustrating to see. But guys, I know you have your opinions on this game. I know you have your opinions. What are your thoughts on the game? Drop it in the comment section. Thank you for always watching us. Thank you for always subscribing, liking, sharing. We truly appreciate you. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to share. Until I see you next time. Bye.